Alrighty. Um, we are live, and the title of the video is going to be Drugs Are a Demonic Portal. And we're going to get into a lot of scriptures about this. The Bible never says anything good about this topic. At the time when the Bible was written, they mostly used alcohol. And I believe that the same applies pretty much to alcohol. And it's like different things that we could say about that, such as, people will say, well, Jesus turned, water into wine. But if you know the Greek and the Hebrew and the words for those substances, it's not always clear if it's alcoholic wine. And if you're one of those people and you believe in a long-haired Jesus, it's almost sort of ironic because, like, Samson took the Nazirite vow and he was allowed to have long hair. Well, the reason why some people say Jesus had long hair was because he took the Nazirite vow. Now, the vow says you will not drink alcohol. So if he was drinking alcohol or something like that, that would be a violation of him taking a vow like that. So there's all these weird little minute juxtapositions going on if you're of that position. I don't believe he was drinking alcohol. I think alcohol is bad. And, what does that have to do with drugs is because it covers all mind-altering substances, and alcohol is probably one of the most natural and one of the most common types of those substances. All substances are natural. Methamphetamine is natural. Crack cocaine is natural. It's all made by stuff that's from Earth, and it's all made from minerals and plants and all these mind-altering substances like salvia, marijuana, acid, peyote, all of them. Well, it's a cactus, man. It's okay. Well, it's a demonic portal, and it's going to mess you up if you do these things. And I believe that it's probably the number one most demonic portal into having, evil spirits and attacking you, and really temptation. If you think about people who are addicted to things, and these things are all addictive. Look at the fentanyl and stuff like that. You got people going like this down the street. We've all seen it on like Kensington, Philadelphia and stuff. It's not from God. And the reason that they're doing that is because they're tempted, they're provoked. They are, their hearts are filled by Satan to want to do these things. And it is wicked. It's ungodly. Nobody wants that to be them. And so that's why I believe it's completely from the devil. All drugs, all alcohol. I don't believe that it is normal for you to want to do these things. If you're being tempted to do these things, you should do deliverance on yourself. If you're being tempted to take pills, if you're being tempted to drink alcohol, again, some people will say, well, I could just have a beer. I could just have a glass of wine and stuff like that. Well, why don't you just not do it? What's wrong with that? And it's like because they're tempted to do it and they can't control themselves, and then they just want to do it. And all the stuff tastes like garbage anyway. Think like smoking marijuana makes you hawk and they're choking. It's super unnatural, this stuff. And they want to do it for the feelings. They're getting euphoric feelings and stuff like that. All right, but let's get into the scriptures about this. So 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober. Oh, there you go. Commandment. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is as a roaring lion, walketh, and he's walking about seeking whom he may devour. Here's the thing, guys. So he's saying, be sober, because the devil is like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now, we can kind of make the inference from that if you're not sober, you're going to be getting devoured, right? You don't want to get devoured. Think about that. I mean, think about kind of how deep that is. If there was a lion outside, or if we put you in a pit with a lion and you got devoured, think about that. You're being eaten alive by some Komodo dragon or a lion or whatever. Miserable experience, absolutely horrible. And you can look at these people who are addicted to these substances, and they look like the Walking Dead. They look like zombies. They look like they're being eaten alive. If you're not being sober, Satan can devour you, but it gets worse from there. We're going to go into Brock Turner because there's a bunch of stuff. Genesis, in the book of Genesis, chapter 9, verses 20 to 25, we are going to read what God has to say about this topic. Again, it's going to be alcohol, but I don't really see a difference between alcohol and these other kind of substances. It may even be more powerful than alcohol. And God said, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, who are going to be bad later, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward. And they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him, and said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So, a lot of people think that this verse is actually talking about rape. And so, because he said he knew what had been happened to him and stuff like that. Either way, he was basically violated. And he was violated because he was drunk. And it reminds me of the Brock Turner story, where these people are like, well, he's a scumbag for raping everybody. Well, yeah, they're scumbags. And it's like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And you're not being sober. You're not being sober, so you're being devoured. You're being raped. I mean, and we're going to have another story about that now. In Genesis 19:29, basically the same thing happens. Another incest, another disgusting, foul behavior that is derived from alcohol. It's going to be incest. And it's going to be after God destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. And God said, and it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old. Hold on, I lost my spot. Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth that come into us under the manner of all the earth. That's verse 31. Verse 32. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. So they're roofing their father. They're using this as a weapon. This is from the devil. They're being tempted to do this. Excuse me. And they're making, and they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and laid with her father, and he perceived it not when she lay down, and then when she arose. And it came to pass on the morning that when the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. So, if think about it, if that were to happen to you, if that were to happen to one of your kids or something like that, where they basically get raped, they get knocked up, they impregnate family members, incest, that's how God is expressing this substance abuse. They're roofing, getting people drunk, violating them. That's what this stuff is associated with. And people, again, will say, like, well, Jesus got everybody drunk at a party and stuff like that. I don't know, guys. Okay? Because this is all being pertaining to incest and lasciviousness. That's what God has decided to associate this with. And just look at society. Look at the people who are on drugs and stuff like that. They get STDs. They're getting STDs literally from injecting drugs into their vein. It's a demonic portal. You're playing with the devil if you're playing with these substances. I mean, this is really his realm. You even have these other religions and stuff like that that'll, like Joe Rogan and all these people, they're Buddhists and weirdos and Native Americans, and they want to use DMT and these mind-altering substances to have spiritual experiences. And it's a demonic portal, guys. And you know how many times I know people personally who are dead now because they did drugs, they did acid, it gave them like a seizure or like a bubble in their brain or something like that. Something really bad. Doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen to some people with certain genetics. And they basically lose their mind. And they had the mind of of a little child for a while. Somebody gave them more drugs, bubble in the brain. I'm pretty sure it was like a stroke or something, and then they died. So they died from the drugs. Tell me it's not a demonic portal from hell. Proverbs 31, verse 6 says, give strong drink unto them that is ready to perish. Well, that's what I was just saying a second ago. If they're ready to die, give it to them because they're going to die. Sin leads to death. And wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. They give you morphine before you die. You're dying, you've got cancer or something like that, and they pump you full of painkillers. And they used to do that with alcohol too, so they could do surgeries and stuff. They tried to do it with Joseph Smith, and supposedly he didn't take it. They wanted to get him drunk because they were going to do a surgery on him. A lot of people don't know this. Joseph Smith had like a limp, and he couldn't serve in the military because he had an infection when he was a young lad, and he had like one of the first surgeries to remove bone that was infected bone, and he had like his bone removed because it was infected. And they wanted to give him alcohol, and he didn't take it. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I read. So the very next verse in Proverbs chapter 31 verse 7 says, let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. Again, that's like these people who are in poverty, and again, they're in Kensington, Philadelphia, and they're all hunched over. They're like the Walking Dead. The only reason that they're willing to do that is because you give them these demonic drugs, and then it basically makes them forget everything. It makes them forget truth, the way and the light, makes them forget they need to take a shower, makes them forget that they, need to eat. I mean, they're all skinny and they look like they're dying. And it just absolutely ruins people. And then you'll see people who are pro-drugs, and people in California, people in places like Colorado, and they'll say, oh, yeah, man, let them have dispensaries where they sell marijuana. Let people do DMT and all this stuff. It's evil, it's foul, and it is demonic. Okay. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1 says, wine is a mocker, and strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. So there you go. If you're one of these people who says, open the dispensary, let's go to the liquor store, let's just have a couple glasses, you're not wise. You are unwise. Wisdom is important in Proverbs, in God's word, over and over again. Ask for wisdom and you'll receive. You really want to have wisdom, just read, Proverbs 1:1 and start to hear about wisdom. Okay. Be sober, guys. That was really all that I had. All I can say is that I have personally had these experiences. I believe drugs are fully demonic. I believe that they are from the devil, and it's a mind-altering substance. And if you want to be sober and not be devoured by Satan, that is the right thing to do. If you want to be high and drunk, Satan may just devour you, just like he does all these other people, like I said, that are dying and are out there on the street like a mummy straight out of the sarcophagus.